The school year is underway, and as parents, you're used to the constant stream of those permission slips that come home in kids' backpacks. But do you really know what you're signing? From field trips to after school activities, those forms can carry more weight than we might think. Today, we're chatting with a lawyer and mom of two who's here to give you the tools to keep your kids safe while staying in the know. Let's welcome Ramona Morgan. Hello, Ramona. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Desiree. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yes, so Ramona, permission slips are more than just paperwork. Can you tell us what
Yes,
parents are
absolutely.
really agreeing to when they sign these forms?
Absolutely. So with the back to school season, there's so many new activities that are going on. You have permission slips that are sent your way, and it's so tempting to just sign them and send them back. But it's really important to have a second look. Very often you'll see that once you have a second look, you're signing all sorts of waivers that you really hadn't signed up for, quite literally. And it's good to think them through and also see where you might be able to ask for changes.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the kiddos, you want to make sure what you're signing is good for them and good for you. So waivers often come with legal terms that maybe sound intimidating to some of us who don't know them. What do parents need to know about waivers and liability before signing?
Absolutely. So you'll see sometimes that they'll have a phrase that's included that even if their equipment is broken and there's an injury based on that, that they're not
Mm.
responsible. If you have an opportunity to have a printed form of this and you can strike that out, go ahead and do that. A lot of times you will be stuck with the waivers if it's a physical activity, if it's an outing like that. But see where there is wiggle room, see if there's something really egregious where you think, I'm not sure they're taking the care they need to take
Mhm.
on their end to make sure that this is a safe activity.
That's good to point out because I'm sure many parents don't even know that they can do that. So talking about these
Right.
options is always helpful, especially when it comes to the safety of your kid. When it comes to kids' health, what should we keep in mind about medical authorizations?
Okay, so that's really, really important. One thing you want to make sure is that if in relation to a medical authorization, you have an emergency contact that's on there, that person should be current, that person should be knowledgeable about your child's medical needs. But it's really important that if you allow for any information to be shared or anybody else to treat your child, that you have to be notified and that they have to do that in a way that doesn't compromise your child's health if it's an emergency. But it's really important that if you do give any sort of medical waivers, that it has the same privacy protections
Hmm.
as if it was any other professional dealing with medical personal information.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned keeping the emergency contact up to date because your kids are going to the same school year after year and just making sure that all of that information is current. Okay, let's talk about field trips. They're fun, but can come with added risks. What extra precautions should parents take when signing off on offsite activities?
Absolutely. So you have to think about each stage of what is being done by the school or by the organization, the transportation, the actual event that they'll be participating in. And you have to give some thought to, is the mode of transportation safe? Is it something where I think the school might, sometimes the solutions might be non-legal. It might be where you think, I think the school needs some more support. I might need to take some time off and see if I can be an extra chaperone on this trip. But that's some way that, this legal concern might have a non-legal solution or a non-legal way of addressing it.
Yeah, that's something my parents always did. They were chaperoning everything I went to. But again, it's just that added safety when they're able to do it. Ramona, sometimes schools
Right.
ask for verbal consent. What's the difference between that and written consent, and why is it important to know the difference between the two?
Yeah, it's really important because a verbal consent really does not hold up. And also, if they give you a verbal waiver, well, they say, well, we're not going to do X, we're not going to do Y, you need it in writing. That's really, really a critical part of it. And so make sure that whatever you have in writing, whether it's the original consent or some sort of a waiver to it, is in writing, because at the end of the day, that is what will be looked to. And that's the most important part.
Yeah, and it's your way of having a paper trail of what was discussed as well, rather than just word of mouth. Any final takeaways for
Right.
parents, Ramona?
Yeah, I would say the biggest takeaway is you've got to choose your battles sometimes.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard to get away from those waivers that you sign for a roller skating party and you think, oh, what did I just sign my child up for? But at the same time, you might see that a school or another organization has some information policies or other policies and permissions that you're really, really not comfortable with. In those cases, it's good to rally your resources, rally your time, focus on those really big issues and see how you can get change, see how you can get a modification, a waiver, Or in my case, one time I actually had the school change its entire privacy policy for the entire school. But it was because I felt like, this is really important and this is a battle I'm going to choose and a battle I'm going to strategize for and win.
All very helpful tips, as mentioned, as kids are back in school, parents are signing those waivers. Ramona, thanks for making sure our parents are good to go. You can find out more by going to ramonamorgan.com.